Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's episode of the HT Dialogues, where we will unravel the profound impact of globalization within our educational systems. In a world that's more interconnected than ever, schools have taken the plunge into the realms of global perspectives. Educational institutions have seamlessly woven the fabric of globalization into their tapestry, recognizing the imperative role it plays in shaping the future of students. Join us as we explore the fascinating journey of the schools embracing global dynamics and influencing the worldview of our teenagers under our topic for today, the impact of global perspectives in shaping teenagers' worldview. On the panel, we have Dr. Aarti Khungar, principal at Happy English School, Sharad Vihar. Dr. Khungar is an educationist with an experience of more than 28 years. She is passionate about ensuring that each child grows and becomes an empowered individual. Welcome, Dr. Aarti.
Thank you very
Dr.
much.
Dr. Ragini Kaul is the principal at Maxford School, Paschim Vihar. She is an accomplished trainer and mentor with a rigorous track of many successful and creative scholastic achievements and awards. Welcome, Dr. Ragini Kaul.
Thank you so much. Pleasure is mine.
Dr. Sangeeta Bhatia is the principal at KIIT World School. She is a dedicated educator with more than 40 years of experience. She has been recognized by the CBSE and the Ministry of Education for her unwavered contribution as an educator. Welcome, ma'am, to the show. I would like to start with you, Dr. Kaul.
Yeah.
Extending beyond the geographical awareness, what facets does global perspective encompass? And how does it shape a student's understanding of the interconnected world? Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you once again for having me on board, and a very good and a pleasant evening to my fellow travelers. See, your question is a very valid one, and all I have to say is something that many of us already know, that we are all living in a global village literally now. And what has brought us together and closer is the robust technology, isn't it? We can virtually be in a place that's geographically seven seas apart. But it's not only about knowing about a place or knowing about a country on the other side of the continent, maybe at times, but it's about knowing places. It's about comprehending how these places present themselves, how they interact, and how actually do they influence each other. Now, when we see from the point of view of the student's perspective, for students, it's all about equipping themselves with a deeper understanding and knowledge of those places so that they make informed choices later as teenagers when they are on the threshold of life, where they are required to make informed choices that will shape their future career and future life. It surely broadens their perspectives on global issues, fostering, say, a true sense of global awareness. It's all about equipping our students because we all will agree unanimously that the universe is expanding, and that too with a big bang. But for having this kind of an understanding, what we need to do in the foundation years in the schools, which are considered to be the epicenters of knowledge and wisdom, is providing our students with a basket of skill sets, varied skill sets. Because, in fact, I, as an individual, and like me, every other educationist will agree that true education actually means providing our children with skills, because imparting the knowledge of 3 R's is something that every next person does, is something that every student gets to know from the school. Now, what sets us apart from one school from the other, or from one educational institution to the other, is how progressive we are in our outlook, where within our domains, we are concerned about the basket of sets. And these skills are not very difficult. It's all about fine tuning the children and nurturing them in such a way where we expose them to certain experiential learnings where, they become problem solvers. They adapt to the new situations, new environments very easily with comfort. They are trained to multitask. They are trained to adjust, and so that when we talk of education going global, many of us who would want to be introduced to the international community, if we fail in having or acquiring these skills, we would find it very, very difficult, because to be working within your comfort zone is very easy for all of us. But the skill of asking the children to move out of their comfort zone, because real education and the real challenge lies out there. Now, how well equipped are they to swim into this huge ocean, global ocean, depends on every educational institution, every educator, every team leader to be imbibing in their children under their care these skills, which will nurture them in a way that they adapt to the global scenario with ease, with comfort, so that they bring in closer connectivity. They get interconnected with each other. As it is, we know the world is experiencing a lot of unrest right now, and to bring in that kind of peace and harmony, we have to train the young minds right from the foundation years, to be in a position to kind of have that global impact later, where we find it very, very easy and very, very natural to be, interacting with the international community, imbibing what is good there, and bringing into their places what we have imbibed ourselves in our own countries. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. As rightly put, and we understand global perspective in a nutshell encompasses several aspects of acquiring global citizenship skills of openness, empathy, social responsibility. As you said, they need to be able to understand global issues very well and be able to communicate as well these well across cultural and linguistic boundaries. Thank you so much, ma'am. Dr. Bhatia, coming to you in a school, how in schools, how are we ensuring interconnectedness and exchange of ideas and knowledge? We would love to actually hear about some successful projects and initiatives within your school or any other schools that you hear of that are being effective, that students are being effectively exposed, to diverse global viewpoints. Oh, you are on mute, Dr. Bhatia. Sorry, you could start again. Still on mute.
Am I audible now?
Yes, you
Well,
are. Please continue.
okay. We at KIT have always been the front runners in providing diverse global perspectives to our children. Through this interconnectedness, our school's vision itself believes in raising connected and confident Indian global citizens. And that's been there for more than 50 years. Until date, we are committed to do so. And having been there, we began with our trips to NASA. We've been taking our students to NASA. We've been doing video conferencing with many partner schools in the past and have been doing successfully on various issues like faith, culture, belief systems. And through UCARI, through British Council, multiple projects that we have undertaken have been very successful, where the students and teachers have been going across, students from partner schools have been visiting, and we've been adhering to our vision to the hilt. I'd like to share that unlike today's generation, I myself got this international exposure much later. In fact, after I got married and moved to US. And when I came back from US and became a young principal, the idea of giving students the global edge was very, very close to my heart, and till date it is. So through partnerships, bringing in linguistic skills from uh, places like provinces of Chengdu in mainland China. We've taught Mandarin to our students. We have offered various languages as a part of mainstream curriculum. Innovation and creativity are some of our regular initiatives which we cut across with our partner schools. Our partner schools bring it to our schools. We have had a German student who was with us for 1 full year as an exchange student, and even pandemic did not stop us. We were in touch with our counterparts to see how they were coping with the problems that they were facing because of COVID. So our Connect, International Connect, from the video conference days to Zoom and today on StreamYard is a testimony of how interconnectedness has helped us go global all the way. Now, all these programs have not only made us culturally sensitive, but culturally aware also. And we become more open minded in acceptance, in challenging the stereotypes, our belief system in human rights, our tolerance towards ambiguity, our perspectives on environmental challenges for the planet and larger community. They've resulted us all in local actions which have an impact on a global scale now. The, the runners of our KIT have now become front runners at a global level. Ms. Dhawan, it's not just being interconnected, it's interwoven. Interwoven to the point that we look like, behave like, and live like global citizens today.
That's very beautifully put. To be, instead of just calling it being interconnected, being interwoven is something that's really important. Yeah, that's really beautifully put. Dr. Kungar, coming to you. Globalization has opened up new avenues for educational growth and development in India. What are some key positive transformations and advantages? We know there are quite a few, all of us are aware, but if you could highlight some key positive transformations and advantages that we see with this adoption.
Thank you for the question, Rupali. It's like it has opened up an entire new avenue for everybody. It's like not just on offline mode, but even online mode. The opportunities are multiple now for the students. So definitely now the kind of exposure they are getting is immense. I would like to say, I would like to continue where Dr. Sangeeta left, that, now the interwoven society that has been created. So I see the similar kind of things happen when, like in our school, we start with the TBL approach for the students right at pre-primary level. And then at primary level, we take it up to the project-based learning where students do different projects according to SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals that are defined by UN and common for all the countries of the world. And moving on to project-based, problem-based learning in middle school, and going on to SSO, self, society and organization in 9th and 10th, where they do Seva project and learn a lot of things, and ultimately moving on to entrepreneurship. So through all this, student develop empathy. That's one of the very, in building up global perspective, empathy is very, very important. Understanding problem-based learning and project-based learning is very, very important for the students that they start to master. I would like to connect to the the ancient education system that India had, where the students were taught Vedas and their value system was worked upon a lot. And then with the Britishers coming in, the entire focus shifted to creating good clerks, quote unquote, no clerks that way. But now with this global perspective, again there is a beautiful mixture of Eastern and Western philosophies and education system that is coming into play. And it's like, it's not just that now India is looking at other countries to understand their education system, but it's the other way around as well. People are pouring in, the students from all across the world are pouring in to know India more, to understand its education system all the more. You can, and the very fact that how Harvard, Yale, all these universities are so soon going to have their campuses as per UGC reports in India, is a big promise that India is having. Even if you see, be it US, the vice president there, or the prime minister of UK, and so many CEOs of different, big, huge international companies being Indians, is a very clear cut indication that India is again going to be a global guru on the world map soon. That's my perspective to it.
Sure. So, I mean, to put it together, globalization in education definitely has clear advantages. You have quoted certain examples of, and if I quote the stats, I think it's about the top fortune companies, nearly 20-25% of the leading the CEOs are Indian origin. So, globalization in education, safely put, is leading to enriched learning experiences and creating opportunities for students and teachers as well, if I may say, to get a comprehensive understanding of the world, its cultures, and its challenges. Leads me to the next question that is for you, Dr. Call. With opportunities, we all know come challenges. Any particular challenges globalization in education has presented in the education sector? And if yes, how are schools effectively addressing and overcoming these challenges?
See, I think we've come a long way now. If we are in 2023 and we are going to be the world's third economy, as Mr. Modi has also pointed it out repeatedly, we are already at position 5. So it's all about the onus is on us as school leaders to be creating global citizens. And how can we do it? Because every endeavor that a human being takes, will come with a set of challenges. Nothing can be achieved, no success can be achieved. I mean, history is a testimony to it. No success can be achieved without the challenges. Therefore, globalizing the education system also has a set of challenges. Yes, initially, when the world was progressing, when our country, India, was progressing towards this, we too faced a lot of challenges. I remember way back in early 90s when we were into this exchange program with Germany. We were at Stuttgart, and I was there with a bunch of students from my school. And because this was the first of its kind, so I took the plunge myself to be there. There were a lot of cultural shocks that our children went through, staying with those families, because our traditions, our culture, our value system is contrary to what they believe in. Not that they're wrong, they have their own set of principles and values in place. We have our own set of principles. But when we talk of challenges, yes, this was one such challenge. You know, respect and obedience to the elders is something that is a priority with every Indian family. And not to sound conceited, we all know that we do come from, our roots are rooted in a joint family system where these things a child imbibes right from the infancy automatically. It's not taught to us. Yes, we have heard of grandmother stories and other things. But yeah, initially it was a big challenge and our children faced a lot of problem there. But then gradually, from the 90s, we came to the 20s and the world progressed, and so did we. So did every individual. So had every progressive mind to do so. Because if you have a progressive mindset, you have to understand that if you have integrity, excellence, values on a priority, you also, despite the differences that we see in different countries, we have to have the power of acceptance. That is what we need to instill in our children. That is what gradually we started working on. And I'm sure we all will agree and be in tandem that over the last few decades, things have become much better because, again, technology has come to our rescue because children research a lot these days. Everything is available, we all know, at the click of the button. So they know so much. In our school, for example, when we arrange these exchange programs and all, we make them through video conferencing, like Dr. Sangeeta already said, like live video conferencing and everything. They do come to know about a lot of things of that country. So when you go there or they come to us, they are mentally prepared, to face most of the things, and of course to accept the differences that are there and that will be there. But that is not the case. I mean, true education is overcoming your challenges and moving ahead, and the only way forward is to be progressive, to imbibe what is best in the other culture, other religion, and who will know it better than we Indians, because we are already living in a diverse cultural society where we have tolerance, where we are taught to be tolerant towards all religions, all faiths, and we have to show respect, because respect, love, it's all mutual. So the same has to be, a little more extensive. And when we talk of crossing the borders, especially for those who are, aspiring to pursue their higher educations or their careers abroad, or those people coming and wanting to pursue their education here, I think preparedness is a must. I think we all have to be ready to face those challenges. We all have to be aware of the various differences that that country might pose to us, or that our country could pose to the children who are opting to be with us from different continents of the world. But it is all about getting interwoven and being a society, a human race that is here on the planet to coexist. That is what all education is all about. Challenges, yes, there will be many, but our training lies there. That has to be our forte. That has to be a motive with every educationist. That how do I train the students under my care, so that I prepare them to be global citizens and not be cocooned in the confines of a classroom or of a formal system. They have to learn to walk out. They have to learn to walk that extra mile to achieve much more and be globally connected to understand this world in a better perspective. That's what global education is all about.
Sure. Thanks, Dr. Kaul. From here, I have another question. It's to you, Dr. Bhatia. She did speak about the challenges that arise out of students going abroad, and how they culturally adapt themselves to being there. I'm also looking for an answer if there are any cultural challenges that may arise in the context of globalization in education. So, India pretty much is multiple countries put together in itself. So, as education influences global influences, is there a risk that we run of diluting countries' unique cultural heritage? I mean, would you have a point of view on that? Dr. Bhatia, you are on mute and we can't hear you. Could you start again?
Well, where Ragini left, I'd like to take off from there. As challenges are enormous, I revisit this theory of Darwin, which says survival of the fittest. And as our
Exactly.
education sector is becoming more dynamic, more challenging, I think we have to fit in than stand out. And we have to think of solutions, and we are working on those solutions, because always there which coexists. It's high time we understand the change is written on the wall and it's inevitable. As a principal of school, I have been investing a lot of effort in training of my teachers as well as students who attend seminars, workshop programs to understand what are the changes and how to cope with those challenges. This is not only for learning, but also sharing of the learning with other stakeholders and with the larger community. I'll just give you a few examples to substantiate what I'm trying to tell. We recently hosted World Creativity and Innovation Day, where we had partners from Seoul, we had partners from Qatar, Poland, and many international schools within India. The students not only focused on culture, but also on the problems that they are facing in the moment. And the solutions came from within through deliberations. We have regular initiatives in the school where we participate in international career fairs, where students are exposed to various universities. Emphasis is now more on the conflict resolution and peace building, because that's yet another challenge we are facing as a global society, as a global community. And students are responding to the crisis that's looming large on our heads. We have recently been facing the climatic challenges. Only today we are off the restrictions, but at the same time, there are global solutions that our children are seeking in these challenging times. Through media literacy, we are helping students analyze the global news, which is another problem where our children have to discern from credible information from so much of misinformation that's floating around, and they can drown in sea of this unnecessary information. So these efforts, these challenges are preparing our children to become global citizens where they're thinking locally but behaving more globally. Uh, Another thing which I would like to emphasize here is that students, teachers, and staff are no more working in different domains. They're working through much more collaborative approach, because as Ragini said, when we travel outside, children realize that they have to maintain certain distance, they have to follow certain way of life. Acceptance of this ambiguity, of the mindsets that we build locally, are being accepted at a much bigger platform in the moment. And schools are not only aware of the challenges, are fostering the right value system, the right school ethos. The culture of the school itself is adding to that learning journey, in the sense that children rise to occasion and become more mature and are able to deal with the challenges which were not there. In fact, these are new emerging challenges, and students are quite updated. Schools are supporting it, and not just the school, the entire society is also working around the same concerns and same challenges.
Let me just add to this. I was actually also looking for something, in terms of are these global influences are a risk where we are diluting the country's unique cultural heritage. So my perspective, is that balancing the preservation of local traditions and knowledge while we integrate global perspectives could be a challenge that needs to be addressed. And I'm sure, the fact that NEP has, tried to integrate or bring in multilingual approach to promoting education. There is this whole initiative of government to bridge the digital divide, diversity focused initiatives that the schools that we hear of are taking, could possibly address and maintain a sense of certain identity and cultural pride. And we do hear, I think a couple of years back, just before COVID or after COVID, there was this whole program where each school had to mandatorily do something on the state of Sikkim, integrating those kind of understanding of cultures of various other states of India, and not just focusing on the global culture or understanding of global diversity. Possibly that was something that I was seeking, and I'm sure those kind of things are also happening as we move towards global interconnectedness. Dr. Bhatia, again continuing with you, how are educators staying abreast of evolving learning programs related to global perspectives? And what
Through
measures are in place to support their professional development in this context?
See, educators always have to be more updated, have always to be on top without looking so, while being collaborative. they have to be a lot more richer in terms of their own experiences, their own exposure, their own understanding of the students' problems. And one of the key ways to make it happen is remain youthful. So that's what we are trying to bring in our own system by upping the happiness quotient. If a facilitator is a happy facilitator, if a teacher is a happy one, is able to percolate that happiness down to the learner, I think the connect is a lot better. And once we are able to establish that connect, the transactions, the sharing becomes a lot more seamless.
I love that answer, upping
Addressing
the.
this. So one is making teachers more youthful. Number two, helping teachers redesign their own outlook towards teaching learning process. Because now the way they are transacting in the classroom is no more being a sage on stage. They have to, right from the way they see children, to way they address children, to way they create the learning patterns in the classroom are entirely global in their perspective. They imbibe the best practices, whether it's a Finland model, whether it's Acer model, whether it's a model from Western world, or our own very deep rooted Nai Talim. When we talk of Nai Talim, even today, when Mahatma Gandhi proposed Nai Talim way back in 40s, today also it holds its relevance with as much significance. And teachers are now bringing in the cross disciplinary approach. We talk of vocationalization today, as my fellow friend Aarti said, there was a time when we were producing only clerks, but now we are creating more entrepreneurs. We are creating more self sufficient, self dependent children who are able to create new vocations which did not exist in the past. So, teachers are not just teaching them to score in the classrooms anymore, they're preparing them to face challenges which are not only visible in the moment, but challenges they may appear few years from now, few decades from now. So, challenges of future also can be handled only when students have better mental health. That's another area where a lot of focus is going on. There's emotional stability, children's emotional quotient, their spiritual quotient are very, very significant in present times because these are the moments where children can be swayed, where children can really be, confused so easily to be able to make right choices, to stay grounded, but elevate their stature, and that is only possible when classrooms, teachers give them those reflective spaces. And to be able to give those reflective spaces, the design of classrooms, the designs of lessons, the designs of interactions are being redefined and redesigned. That's how the learning journey is at the moment.
Thank you. I love the fact that you mentioned that upping educators' happiness quotient, could really provide students with experiences that help develop a global mindset, knowledge base, and skill set. And I also love how you mentioned, how educators are being trained or are balancing students' spiritual and emotional quotient. Thank you so much. That was really beautiful. Dr. Khungar, coming to you, parents have always played an important role in supporting their child's learning and development. What strategies can parents employ to help their children gain a global perspective outside of the formal educational setting that we've been talking about so far?
This is a very important area that you have initiated, no, the conversation about, because in our India, now in this present scenario, a lot of teacher training is happening, like Dr. Sangeeta talked about the happiness quotient. It made me so happy talking about the teachers, no. But yeah, in India, a strange thing is that for becoming a teacher or for becoming a principal, you have to undergo a journey. You have to kind of, train yourself. For becoming a parent, there is no such training. The very fact that a child is born to you and suddenly you think that as a parent, you know everything. And now you know you know, how to nurture a child. it's important that parents also take a pause and understand their responsibility. And for that, Dr. Ragini was talking about macro level, no, we have to make them understand, students understand coexistence. But I feel it's very, very important to start working at micro level itself, where in the family itself, students start experiencing those global perspective skills, no, uh, as simple as on family dinner table, if there is a circle time kind of a structure where everybody is sharing and children's sharing are given that equal weightage and importance, it's a need that parents start listening and giving that equal status to the students, to the child as well. That would, make the child more empathetic, more responsible, being able to share one's own feeling. Then there might be small things like, a simple decision which car to buy. We want our children to be researchers, so why not telling them to research that out? What are the companies available, what are the kind of fuels they are using, you know is it like, how would the fuel be impacting the environment? What are the kind of other things involved, the economic things, the financial part involved in it? So once the child is given that responsibility to collect those kind of data, come up with some kind of proposal, and then asking him more questions so that the child goes deeper into that understanding. Those are the simple steps that I think each family can simply take. Similarly, one another important perspective. Mostly there are in Indian society, there are siblings in the family. There are conflicts amongst the siblings. So, as parent, if the child is given that opportunity to see at the situation from first, second, and third position, what I am feeling, what at this time the other person whom I'm in conflict with feeling at this time, and if I can see the entire situation from his or her perspective, and from a third position where I can be neutral in seeing whether I was at the wrong or the person, and how we can coexist and collaborate. So if these kinds of things happen at family level, then obviously the student would be much more confident, much more aware of self, because everything actually ultimately leads to self. If we work on the self of this child through giving the child those opportunities to experience and speak one's own mind, speak one's own feelings, I'm sure that the children would excel. So parents, therefore, are a very, very important trio, part of the trio of student, teacher, and the parent. No? And that's how they can take up their responsibility by not just providing them the means to explore the world, but yeah, actually being with them day in, day out, experiencing the life with them, and giving them that time, energy, and listening to.
I think also encouraging students to take up activities, volunteering activities, maybe things like talking or experiencing global food, visiting activities, also, experiencing or going for international films, art museums, and exhibit visits. Could be some other activities as parents they could take up together and encourage linguistic learning as well. Dr. Paul, as the school principal, how do you perceive the significance of students acquiring proficiency in a second global language? We do know, one of you did mention about the second language in school, but what is really the significance of students acquiring proficiency in a second global language, and how is it likely to help him or her in shaping them into better global citizens?
See, Rupali, I guess if we are talking of globalization of education, we have no choice, but we have to be go-getters, okay? And if we want to cut across edges, there is no other way but then to work out ways to interconnect them into an interwoven fabric of a global society. And language is one such parameter which can bring us closer, which can bring us, to a position where we can communicate. Now, when we are talking of language, we means if we have, it means if we have competency in a particular language, only then we can strike a meaningful conversation, be it our mother tongue, be it the first language or the second language that we acquire at the school. And already we know that our government, in our schools, we have a three language formula, right? But mother tongue, if we see, every child picks it up automatically, because that's what you hear your family speak, that's what you hear your parents speak, and the people around you, your siblings, etc. Then we come to the school stage, where you have to acquire the first language or the second language, whatever it happens to be, because it's different in India. And considering the North and the South India, things change a little. And following the three language formula, uh, beyond English and Hindi, for example, here in North India in the schools, we all ask them to opt for a third foreign language, which could be, like in our school, we are giving them options for German, Spanish, French. They can opt, and besides Sanskrit, which happens to be, our own language. So they have an option to choose for. That reminds me of a famous psychologist, Sigmund Freud, who said that a every child up to the age of 8 has the capacity to pick up 6 languages. Now, let's give it a thought. Every child up to the age of 8 has the capacity to pick up 6 languages. We also know, proven on the data that the psychologists provide us, that 80% of the entire life's learning takes place during 0 to 8 years, which initially we used to ignore. Abhi chota hai, kar lega. Abhi bacha hai, kar lega. That is when the maximum, learning takes place. Now, we are at a stage where we need to make all stakeholders, aware that these stages cannot be ignored. Now, if we want to cut across edges, we have to first embark on giving them the importance of a foreign language, studying that. They come to know so much more about that country, about the countrymen, which will further make it easier for them to transit in case they wish to, which most of the students do it these days. It's not only for the matter of higher education. It's if you are a globetrotter, it will help you to communicate. If you are familiar with that language of that country where you are going on an expedition or on a vacation, it becomes easier. We all have examples when we travel to countries where they do not understand our language and we do not understand that language. How many buffers do we come across? So how can we ignore or avoid the importance of a global language, which every school, I think to a great extent, is, or rather should, focus on. And the younger they are, it's all about catching them young. We all have heard catch them young. So it's all about catching them young. It has to begin from the school level, and we have to ensure that they do pick up some other language, where we first initially start with, introducing, for example, we teach French in grade 4. We just introduce the country to them, their customs, their traditions, their festivals that they follow, the language that they speak. So the basic knowledge the child has. Then from onward journey begins, where they know so much more. So we have already generated awareness. And in the long run, we are generating aware citizens. I remember in my school days, when we were taught by those Irish nuns, they used to focus, they started something like Pen Pal Club. It was very new to us. Imagine, I'm talking of 1970s. Okay, so they started this, where we could, those days there was no technology. We were made to write letters which would reach them, say 10 days, 15 days time, and then they would write back to us. I remember this friend of mine, her name was Uric, and how she celebrated her birthday. She would send pictures, and then she would write how she did it. Then I would write down about my part of thing. And the day when she said that I am mourning because I lost my pet, but that connect was there, even though it was through letters, but that connect was there. I came to know so much about her family. I came to know so much about their traditions. I came to know so much about their country. So that was an initiative way back in 70s. So if when you are talking about activities, yes, it is through activities. Learning by doing is the best. We all know it. That's what the focus is on. So when you kind of weave these activities into your curriculum with a clear objective in your mind, what the purpose of these activities is, which the children may not know, but we as educators know. We have to arrive at objectives that we have guidelined. Okay, yeah, through these activities, by the end of the year or by the end of the term, our children would be able to A, B, C, D, E, right? So they are not conscious of it, but they pick it up in a playway method, which will remain with them, because it would have, in you do it continuously for 2 3 grades, by the end of the fourth or the fifth grade, a pattern would have been formed in their minds, and they will never forget it. Trust me, they will never forget it. So experiential learning is a broad term which we have to explore, which we have to research, and which we have to understand and implement at the school levels. Because that is what is going to, unfortunately, we talk of teaching in the classrooms, but that era is gone. The focus has to be on learning, not on teaching. I mean, how I transfer my knowledge to the students is what is important, not how much I know. What I know is for me. But how am I creating a learning environment, be it the global language, be it any other language, be it any other concept, any other subject? How am I creating an environment which is conducive to learning for children sitting in that arena? And as my friend Dr. Sangeeta also said, it's all about school culture. If you have created or generated a rich culture in your school, things filter in from the top. Any new incumbent who comes in, any new student who joins you, any new team member who comes in, when the rich culture is already existent in the school system, it filters down from top to bottom. And the new person coming in, be it a student or a team member, a teacher, or any staff member, they imbibe it automatically because it's already existing. So work on the ground level. Let's all work on the work culture. It has to be very rich. It has to be very, very attractive. All of us, students, including the teachers, we all must look forward to our place of work in the morning. That is what will bring in that happiness quotient to all of us. Because if I'm a happy soul, I'm looking forward to coming to my school, I'm full of energy, I hug my children at the entrance and I get them into the classrooms or I get them into the assembly ground, that happiness will generate, it will be in the air. But if I carry my negativity from my home to the workplace, it will show on my face, in my expressions, and it will definitely impact the working culture of the organization, be it anything.
Thank you, Dr. Kaur. I love the way how you put my answer to my question on the need for a second global language. And I hope young parents heard you, how easy you made it sound that a young child can pick up a global language, and young parents consider it, that how important it is for holistic as a holistic investment towards their child's development, and how easy it is to pick up. That's some input and learning for me as well. Dr. Bhatia, coming to you, research shows that students who learn about global issues are more than twice as likely to see the importance of personally taking action and have a solution oriented approach. Would you like to share any prodigies or examples from your school about the same?
See, I very firmly believe that each child in my campus is brought up to the best version of himself or herself. I cannot name many because I've been working for 40 years plus now, but I'll give you four examples of what we aspire to do through global awareness. Number one, Dr. Rakesh Verma, medical oncology researcher in Yale Cancer Center in the USA, represents our ideals of human compassion, STEM excellence, and intellectual curiosity. Number two, Zuni Thusu, Miss India Canada 2016, Beauty with Brains, where her unique identity with tremendous confidence emerging as a winner in Canada as well as bringing glory to India. Number three, Vikas Agarwal, an Indian export who runs $1 billion business in the USA. Number four, an 11th grader presently in the school in Devang Wig. He aspires to be an Ivy League education, follow Ivy League education, and brings an unusual way of thinking in the school. He has participated in a project that enabled robotic delivery of medical supplies during COVID through a robot that he developed in the time of crisis. And it was a tremendous support to medical care system in hospitals, and he was lauded a lot at various fora. He has also recently launched a project called KIT Nirman to fire creativity and innovation in the school. One of the stems being Geeks, where he's now replicating the innovation at a very, very grassroots level with the help of his support from his global friends, taking best from everywhere in the world. Each one of them has a global mindset. Each one of these students that I mentioned, they all epitomize our belief system of being Indian global citizens. They've taken the lead on a global stage as they know and understand the global context and issues from the very childhood, and they've joined in dialogue on a larger complex problems that are at the moment plaguing the world, like as I mentioned earlier, like climate change, the issues pertaining to artificial intelligence. See, our country recently hosted G20 summit, right? Where we need to now take our children stepping forward confidently and naturally in international fora. So I genuinely take pride not in few prodigies, but all my young ones as problem solvers who have an impetus for lifelong learning. And this is gearing them to solve all the problems that exist today and also the problems that we are not aware of for future also. So, prodigies are, I was reading one research somewhere that prodigies are not only born, they have 60% of genetic. I mean, that was one of the data shared by one of my fellow friends only recently, that 60% comes genetically for being the prodigies. The rest 40% is all nurtured through environment. And we as educators, we as society, we as stakeholders of having taken this responsibility of nurturing them, need to take care of that significant 40%, which happens only through a lot of care, through a lot of love, through a lot of plan, through a lot of updation, through a lot of sincere connect with our children, with our society, with what's going on, not only at a local level, but at each level. Bring in, share, propagate, and that's how the prodigies are nurtured. And actually, if I start naming whether it's judiciary, bureaucracy, academia, writing books, we have quite a many. So naming few is something which is kind of difficult, but why I've chosen these four gives a bandwidth of how each field is as significant. No more other times when only being a doctor, engineer, scoring in, because earlier we would pick on people and treat them as prodigies who would stand out. But now I think 21st century looks for those prodigies who best fit in, who best create, who best collaborate, who best amalgamate with what's happening around them rather than standing out, as individuals.
Thank you. I mean, I could see that pride in when you were speaking, and it really shows that how being a global citizen makes you empowered to be the catalyst of change, they really wish to see. Dr. Kungar, coming to you, um, how can students themselves begin to nurture global perspectives in their schedule? What are some initial steps or tips that you may want to share with the students who are seeing this show?
I would suggest them that just don't be the hard worker, be a smart worker as well. They should expose themselves to, a lot of information that is out there in the world. There are new courses, new online courses that are happening. There are lots of opportunities where they can actually learn a lot of technological skills. They have to keep themselves technologically advanced. As Dr. Ragini said, the language skills, they need to understand and learn lots of languages, as many languages, so that they get a glimpse of different cultures as well. The language learning brings with it the nourishment of cultural learnings as well, understanding other cultures as well. Then they must give time to themselves to, experiment. I feel that's most important, because when we are talking about coming out of our comfort zone, you know creating solutions to various world problems, then it's very important that they keep themselves vulnerable and open to making mistakes and doing experimentation. The more prototypes they come up with, they would be able to find more solutions to the world problems. Teachers and parents definitely can support them as facilitators or mentors, but it's up to them to take those initiatives so that they can keep, improving their levels step by step. So that's one of the most important thing. Another thing I would suggest is, it's like to be more centered and focused. They should daily take out some time to meditate as well. So, those practices of meditation, of becoming calm within oneself, is very, very important for growth. All these things definitely help them. And yeah, how can I forget reading? They must read every day. They must be they are reading on Kindle or whatever, because it's very important for them to understand varied perspectives. And what better way could be there than reading for them, no? So they must be reading, doing their daily reading schedule they should follow, in which they can, I mean, like, it's up to their choice whether they want to read fictions, non-fictions, whatever. But that should be a constant process that they should follow. And yeah, definitely going out and doing something for the society, not just, being in the household and just engrossed in the books only, but actually living life, actually experiencing life. So going out, visiting various places where they can see people of different economic background, people of different religious background, different ethnicities, so that they are able to understand with the open mind, what is required. Also getting involved in, any of those SDG goals. I feel that is a must for all the students now, because our globe is facing a crisis now. Global warming is not something that would happen later, it's happening right now in front of them. So right at this stage, how they can contribute to the entire environment, that should be their area of focus. As Dr. Sangeeta was rightly saying, every child is a prodigy. It's only in the comparative terms when we are saying that, this child has achieved this. If we look at all the children, they all are special, they all are beautiful, they all have a journey of their own. Like this year, in a very different arena, my one of the student got selected as vice captain of Indian women team, under 19. So definitely, those students who follow their passion, who spend hours of hard work, they definitely excel. So my suggestion to students would be to follow their passion, to work hard, to work smart, be empathetic, and be a researcher, so that they can contribute to the society and this world.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. So truly change starts from within, and students, if you're listening to this conversation, you must take it upon yourselves to become global citizens. In conclusion, Embracing global perspectives is not merely an educational goal, it is a necessity in preparing students for an interconnected world, as we spoke about. HT's recent initiative, the G20 quiz, has successfully fostered awareness for global affairs for about nearly 1,500 students who participated across Delhi NCR. In an era of unprecedented connectivity, it is through initiatives like these that we can equip our students and the next generation with tools they need to navigate and positively impact our increasingly globalized society. As we conclude this discussion, we encourage parents, educators, and students alike to reflect on valuable lessons and strategies discussed here. Thank you all for joining us in today's HT Dialogues talk show, and we look forward to continuing these conversations in the pursuit of brighter futures for our youth. Thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us over. Thank you.
Thank you.